Okay, I gave you a quick recap on catching up with the other shows I regularly review. However, I can't catch up with Arrow. You want to know why? Because it keeps giving me this garbage. Every time I try to load the player, I have to choose between the Orville and Arrow, and I've always chosen the Orville. Now, that won't be a problem come the spring, but take a look. I don't even have any idea what the mid-season cliffhanger was. I probably won't get one. Because look, ad blocker has been detected. Is this garbage or what? And yeah, I've done a bunch of stuff over the past few days to try and get rid of this. I just thought I'd explain just before going into another review. And look, it's disabled. Disabled. Merry Christmas. And well, how do I describe Chuck to the uninitiated quickly without dragging the whole review down? Basically, Chuck is an average guy who the show Chuck revolves around an average guy named Chuck who works at a big box department store that they get the atmosphere eerily right on about what it's like working big box retail. Whose only real skill is that he's really good at fixing computers. So anyway, he got framed for cheating at college, got kicked out, so he's stuck working retail. Then he got all the secrets of a government supercomputer about with all the information about terrorists downloaded into his brain. Then evil government spy slash terrorist organization called Fulcrum destroyed said computer. So the only way the government has to access all its information on that the NSA and CIA has collected on terrorists is to wait for the flash on something. He'll see something and all of a sudden he'll have a whole CIA file just in his conscious brain. So the NSA sent their top operative, John Casey, who um who to pose as his co-worker. Uh, and he really at the at the Buy More, which is where he works, which he really shouldn't be working retail. He just doesn't have the attitude for it. Then again, he is the best equipped I've ever seen to survive Black Friday. And the CIA sent their top operative slash assassin Sarah Walker to watch him, who poses as his girlfriend on again, off again, and who works at a frozen yogurt place across the street from where Chuck works. There's a secret CIA base. There's a secret CIA base called Castle underneath the yogurt stand, and there's a secret passage in the break room of the Buy More that goes to the castle. And I wouldn't bring this up if it wasn't important to the episode, but Chuck and Sarah have a thing for each other, but they never actually act on it in reality, even though they have to act on it as part of their cover, because Chuck's family and friends can't know that he is what's called the intersect, because he has all these. So, but they never act on it in real life as long as Sarah's guarding him, because that would be unprofessional, and it put the fate of the whole world at stake. But all in all, not a very fun situation. But it makes for fun television. So this episode starts with what you would expect from me. It's the day before Christmas, and Big Mike the manager and Emmett the assistant manager are talking about jacking up the prices 15% to gouge last minute shoppers. Sarah seems to be reacting the same way to the concept of eggnog yogurt the way I would, with existential dread. Just and questioning if there is anything good left in the world. As part of their cover, Chuck invites her to Christmas dinner at his place. She explains that she doesn't celebrate Christmas since her dad was con man, and so to her the only thing Christmas means is the annual con job on the Salvation Army. So anyway, they're getting ready. So anyway, the story's getting ready to open up. For some reason, Chuck lets his sister Ellie and her fiance Captain Awesome, yes, that's what he's called, into the store early while they finish their last minute shopping, and everyone is distracted by the TV taking bets on how a chase on the LA freeway is going to turn out. So yeah, typical day in LA, I'd say. That's when the car comes crashing through the front of the car in the chase comes crashing through the front of the store, and a very rattled gunman on the run from an armed robbery takes everyone in the store hostage. Store leadership being what it is in American retail stores, the managers quickly delegate running the store to running the store and the hostage situation to Chuck, while they just sit in the corner trying to figure out how they're going to make a profit off of the situation. Quickly, police show up, hostage negotiators show up, and down in Castle, Lance Casey is breaking out his Christmas present to himself, a giant flipping gun, ready to shoot the guy. He doesn't see any problem here. Sarah points out that that the whole point of them guarding Chuck the way that they have was so that no one would suspect that Chuck was the Intersect. If all of a sudden an appliance salesman just shows up with a giant gun and blasts the guy in the face with sniper-like precision, then Chuck's cover is blown, and what's more, it will be blown in front of his sister Ellie, her fiance, and his best friend Morgan. So not only will Chuck have to go into hiding for the rest of his life, but so will the rest of them. And being that the gunman is so nervous that he's having to have Chuck talk to the hostage negotiator outside of the locked up Bymore for him, and he says that his attempt was to try and steal money to buy his family Christmas presents. She says that they should let the police handle this. But she and Casey do go through the secret passage to try and sneak Chuck out of a Bymore to Castle. However, they are quickly caught by the very nervous gunman, who then accidentally shoots Casey in the foot. Now, Casey is, how should I put this? He's a little on edge most of the time, bordering on downright rude. So getting part of his toe blown off the day before Christmas by an amateur gunman who he was hoping that he'd get a chance to shoot has left him on the disgruntled side. And all the while this is going on, Captain Awesome just finished telling Ellie that Captain Awesome, who's an adrenaline junkie, telling Ellie that he needs a break from their routine of just her being a doctor and him being a super surgeon, to do something exciting. Because apparently because apparently juggling people's kidneys for a living isn't exciting. Uh, so he starts trying to hatch a plan with the other workers at the Buy More to get out of there. The gunman finally agrees to let one of the hostages go. He lets Elliot go, which is probably to everyone's relief since he's just a little worm. However, he uses the chance to try and encourage people to come shopping despite the hostage situation. Huh. Seems to be on par with my experience with Walmart. So, anyway. While all this is going on, the gunman doesn't know what his demands are, and Ellie is, and of course Sarah has to fake being nervous of a gun, even though she's a gunman, even though she's a super assassin, and Chuck has to try and explain that she and Casey were just hiding in the back room. Not that there's a secret passage back there. Well, while Ellie is attending to Casey's wound, the hostage negotiator finally asks the gunman what his demands are. He doesn't have any idea. So Chuck finally gets him to admit that his only demand is that he wants to go home for Christmas. So the hostage negotiator decides to come in with that unarmed to the Buy More. And then after the hostage taker is allowed to make a call to his wife and say, hi, took hostages for Christmas and whatnot. But as all this is going on, an exchange is made. 2 of the hostages are let go for the hostage negotiator. He of course insists that Casey be one of them, which doesn't sit well with Casey since he wants to be at the center of the action, but since he's wounded, they can't really not have him go without blowing his or Chuck's cover. Then the hostage taker does something else. In the spirit of Christmas, he says, since Chuck has been so nice, he's going to let Chuck's girlfriend go too. This, of course, leaves Chuck defenseless, and although he and Sarah protest, and Chuck makes a very impassioned holiday speech that they should all either stay or they should all go as one big fearful family being taken hostage, that kind of falls on deaf ears. So Sarah and Casey are left, and they go out, and the SWAT team is actually a CIA getting ready to storm the place. Is really a CIA team. It's then that Sarah and Casey find out the truth when they asked the SWAT team why they didn't bring the hostage taker's wife, who he was talking to on the phone, to try and talk him down. He reveals that the hostage taker doesn't have a wife. Make things worse, Chuck tends to be a bit naive and think the best of people, so he throws caution to the wind when he flashes on the hostage taker. It turns out the hostage negotiator, it turns out the lead hostage negotiator is Fulcrum. Yep. And when he tries to tell the hostage taker, of course he learns that he blows his cover by telling the hostage taker what's going on. Yeah. All in all, not a good Christmas. They tell him that they're going to take him to a lab and find out everything he knows about the intersect, and study him and all of this stuff, since he's the only experiment in making a human intersect computer that's actually worked. He then goes to tell Ellie goodbye, and he had earlier talked Captain Awesome down from using his plan to take out the hostage, the gunman. Well, now he tells Captain Awesome, be awesome, which, of course, Captain Awesome knows means putting in place his plan. At first, the plan seems to fail because, well, you have Lester, probably the laziest person in the store, charge the guy, and he gets kicked so hard he requires a neck brace. However, Awesome is actually smarter than he looks. So this was all just a distraction to get to get Morgan to the snow machine, which if anyone's ever gotten fake snow in their eyes, that stuff stings. He then sprays it in the hostage taker's face, and he loses his gun. Awesome gets it, but not but case but and the hostage negotiator, and just as the sun goes down, the hostage negotiator takes off through the back of the buy more into a Christmas tree lot behind it, with Chuck in pursuit. Sarah turns up and tells him to go back while she pursues him because, as she puts it, he's too valuable to national security. Chuck is always torn in those situations between sticking with his team and the greater good of national security, and that's something this show does well, is characters. I'm not doing it justice here because I'm doing an overview, but one thing this show does right is characters, their growth, and their arcs, and making them fun to watch and having a lot of fun with them. And nowhere is that more apparent than Chuck, who starts out as nervous and you would think would be a one joke character, but he grows into being more and more of a agent until by season 4 he's a seasoned agent. This is taking place in the middle of season 2, so it's sort of a middle ground for him where he's still learning, but he's still got some of his naivete intact. But he is capable of realizing that there is a greater good at stake. So Sarah gets into a fight, but after she gets pounded on pretty good because, well, this guy is twice her size, she manages to get a gun and get him on his knees. However, he points out that no matter where, he decides to threaten her, idiot, because here is where Chuck and Sarah having a thing for each other sort of comes into play. He starts telling her that there is nowhere that they can lock him up because Fulcrum has proven that they're powerful enough to infiltrate the police department everywhere, and so they know that he was assigned to find the intersect. So once they find out he's locked up, they'll keep coming for him. They'll break him out, and he'll tell them where Chuck is, and then no one, especially her, will ever see Chuck again. Well, you shouldn't taunt somebody who literally has a license to kill like that, because she shoots him in the face. Just as Chuck comes around the corner to come and help her. He doesn't let her know that he saw, and here's the other thing where characterization matters here. Chuck trusts Sarah, and he trusts the situation, and he knows that sometimes they have to kill people, so that isn't the issue here. So he knows that she would only do this if there was a greater good at stake. However, that doesn't make it any less disturbing to see your pretend girlfriend / maybe girlfriend shoot an unarmed man who's on his knees in the face at point blank range. And when she tells him the cover story that he's been taken off to prison, that doesn't make it any easier. He still trusts her. He can still work with her, and it doesn't really change how he feels about her, but it does leave him feeling somewhat disturbed. So even though they have a happy ending, everyone goes off to have us. So he has a slightly disturbed Christmas, and well, talk about This is a typical day, Christmas day for Chuck Bartowski. Chuck vs. Santa is a fun little episode that also has that also sets up some important points for the future. It shows Fulcrum closing in on Chuck, which is important for the rest of season 2, and it's just a fun little Christmas episode where they tone down some of the content without actually because it is Christmas, but they don't actually. But the show is very much in character, and it's a fun little episode that I enjoy watching every Christmas. I don't watch Christmas episodes out of season, so yeah, this is enjoyable. I give it an 8 out of 10. And Chuck is a very enjoyable series, and if you haven't seen it, check it out.